The day was just like any other day, although today the snow was coming down pretty fast. It was getting heavier over time, and more people came into my restaurant for shelter. And just as I was about to kick them out, an emergency message came from my radio. A great blizzard was coming in swiftly. The alert was everywhere in town, letting everyone around hear of the emergency. Many more people rushed inside my small restaurant. I even saw some running into other local businesses. My restaurant was getting colder as the snow swept in from people entering. I'd locked the kitchen doors and had my employee fill as many pots, bowls, cups, and whatever he could find with warm water. I, on the other hand, quickly finished the stew we were making. My restaurant was filled with panic, and some fights broke loose in the panic. It was getting quieter, but the occasional panic attack brought noise back. I was just in the kitchen, which I locked. My employees and I then decided to keep the supplies to ourselves. We thought maybe they could think we abandoned the restaurant. We could hear the shivering winds outside. "Should we just keep what we have to ourselves?" I whispered. "You sure? Seems selfish," he replied quietly. "Of course, they will not know a thing," I said with confidence. After some hours, people eventually were trying to break into the kitchen. I had to head out of the door into the cold because the door inside was being blocked off. The snow was a bit above my waist, and it was still snowing heavily. I almost ran out of breath. As I ran around the restaurant to the front door, everyone was complaining that they were hungry, thirsty, or whatever. I had a plan in the back of my head since I heard that alarm. I went to the bar counter, pushed people aside. "Everyone calm down. I will be handing out food and water shortly," I shouted with authority. Everyone was anxious and mad. I was heading in and out of the kitchen, drinking as much water as I could, so that my customers would have to pay more. That's right, they would have to pay up if they wanted anything. Although those people were still mad, soon enough it got to a petty point in which they were begging for water to come out of the kitchen. I made my move. I brought a few cups of water and some bowls of stew, maybe enough for half of the people in the situation, and I offered it to the people with a price. $10 for stew and water, I said, raising my voice. Though I could see dread in their eyes, they would not pay up. I kept bringing more food, the more money they brought to me. The snow outside was howling, and some people decided I was a monster and headed into the white abyss. Although the old, young, and caretakers stayed in here as they wouldn't be able to leave, it was a great idea as I raked in hundreds of dollars. A few days have passed, and the blizzard was still going strong. I had people push away snow around the front door as if they couldn't get water or food. As everything was going fine, I noticed every time I checked on my customers, more and more were missing. I decided to leave my employee to guard the little supplies we had left, and I sat on one of the benches near the front of the building. It took a few minutes, but I saw some figures approaching my restaurant, and two young men wearing gear that looked as if it was made for mountain climbing, calling over some other people, offering jackets, warmth, and food. These people were stealing my customers. I tried persuading the next batch they took, but I had no luck. So I came out with another plan. I told everyone in my restaurant about the people helping the other customers and led them the opposite way. Then the same two men arrived from the sharp winds. Where did everyone go? They went searching for help. There were more in the kitchen than they could find anywhere else in this blizzard. Gathered many people for a search party, I lied. On it, thank you. Head over to the mountaineering shop on the corner of the street. Once I heard plenty of voices calling people, I made my move. My plan was, as they searched, I could take their supplies. Without supplies, they would have to come back here, where I would sell everything back to them. I am a genius. Putting on a load of chef jackets and my winter coat, I brought here. I set out to their location. The closer I got, the louder the snowy winds howled in my ears. Eventually I got to their place and found 2 boxes full of food and water. I took it without hesitation and found the walk back being much tougher than it was getting. I was out of breath and feeling weak. I found myself lost in the weak head and fell into a ditch. I didn't feeling anything. Like hypothermia was starting or something. I tried to crawl back without the supplies. I didn't need them. And just as I found myself at a recognizable wall, I just couldn't move. I heard something in the distance. Guess that chef went early to find us. Yeah, thought he would have stayed to collect the supplies. I couldn't believe it. If I would have just stayed, I would have outlasted them. I was just one man with a lot of supplies. I got greedy. After a few painful minutes, I heard some more cries. Our supplies, they're gone. We got these. We can ration until help arrives. What about the chef? We need to help him as well. We already lost 2 people out there, and we're all freezing. The wind was getting louder, and everything was getting brighter. So I closed my eyes.